Dominique, I'm going to start with you. Could Donovan Mitchell be New York City's biggest sports star if he were to come to New York?
I absolutely think he could if he continues to play the way he has in Utah and puts up averaging like 25 points and gets to the playoffs, maybe even wins a playoff series. Yeah, I think basketball players are the biggest sports stars we have in America. Like, football is a more popular sport, but basketball players are more popular. And in our most popular city in the country, if Donovan Mitchell comes in, a city that's very hungry for a winner, you remember how the city reacted to Julius Randle getting them to the playoffs and losing to the Hawks. They went crazy, paid him a bunch of money, and everyone loved him. So I can't imagine if Donovan Mitchell comes in and continues to get better, or if he just kind of maintains the standard he's been on right now. I think he jumps over any football player. There's not one in the city right now that gets that type of attention. It's not going to be Daniel Jones. It would have to be a quarterback. So it's not going to be there. And, I mean, as sad as it is to say, like, it ain't going to be a baseball player. Like, people just don't care about baseball the way that they did.
Oh, my God.
Aaron Judge.
I mean, Aaron Judge is...
What are you smoking? What are you kidding me?
The good.
I mean, a New York Yankee?
Come on, it's the Yankees.
Let's say one thing about, and I love the NBA, don't get me wrong. The NBA in New York, I don't care how bad the Mets or the Jets, is never going to top the top four teams.
No.
At the most, if they work hard to get the fifth. They are not going to be the Yankees, the Mets, the Jets, the Giants. This is not going to happen. So Donovan Mitchell could win 9 championships. The Knicks no higher fifth on the New York City totem pole. Not a chance. And you're going to say, well, how does he know? Well, I did radio here for 20 years.
No.
Not a chance.
I respect your understanding of the New York market. However, I'm not talking about the Knicks. I'm talking about a player. Like, when Carmelo was there, he was as big a star as anybody. If the Knicks have a good player, a player that matters for the Knicks, the thing that I think you're misunderstanding is I'm not talking about the team. I'm talking about NBA players. NBA players are the biggest sports stars we have in this country. If we liked soccer, then maybe you could put that in the mix. But no other sports stars compare.
Quarterback.
And
Quarterback.
No, they don't actually. Like, by what measure? Not on social media.
Who's bigger than Brady? Who's bigger in the world than Brady? Who's bigger than Patrick
LeBron?
No,
LeBron?
he's not Brady.
LeBron?
Internationally is. In America, he's not Brady.
No,
Don't compare the NBA to the NFL. That's
I'm not. Okay, so I think this is a two America situation. Like, people who like to carry around newspapers, like physical newspapers. Oh, there it is. People who like text on their phone with their index finger. Like, I think that those people might believe that a baseball player could be bigger than a basketball player. But that's just not the way it is. I feel like if we could use this show as an example, as good as Aaron Judge has been, we've talked more about Jalen Brunson in the past couple weeks than we've talked about Aaron Judge.
Well, that's because Brunson just signed here, and Judge is 40 games over 500.
Yeah.
In October.
He hasn't gotten his big deal yet.
Hold it now. In October, you think they're going to be talking Donovan Mitchell, or they're going to be talking Aaron Judge, or
it depends
Jacob
on how
DeGrom,
Donovan's playing.
Or Jacob DeGrom. Don't forget him.
DeGrom, are you serious?
In New York, they love pitchers. Tom Seaver. In New York, they love pitchers. And they love DeGrom. You're a baseball fan. Help me out here.
I am. Well,
see,
I'm a Red Sox fan, so it really pains me to talk about the Yankees. But look at Jeter and A-Rod. You've got big names that still have legendary status here.
I think maybe in the deli that you go to, that's what's cracking. But in every other corner of New York City, I promise you that you and your friends who got landlines, like you guys who leave voicemails and then leave a return number on it too, like, hey, call me back at 555. Like those people, yes, Aaron Judge is the man. But for the rest of us who know that Bluetooth doesn't mean that we need to go to the dentist, us people, we thoroughly understand that in modern culture, NBA players are much more important.
Well, let me ask you, you guys give me this. I'm going to give you something here. This modern culture is driving me crazy.
The landline's out, folks.
Golden State, I'm going to say they're going to get mad. I don't care. Golden State, Boston, Game 6 of the NBA Final. Game 6. That's Curry, biggest star in the world. That's Tatum. That's the Celtics. That's Green. That's the Reds. I mean, that's the Warriors. That had 13.9 million people watching it. 13.9 million people in America. The Game 6, Atlanta and Houston, to small teams, no unbelievable stars, 6-0. World Series up against football. 14 million people watched it. So you're trying to tell me now that we are going to sit there and we're going to put an NBA player in New York higher than a baseball player when you had Golden State and Boston couldn't outdraw Astros and Braves in Game 6. Now, that's not fair. That's not fair.
I promise you. So, like, what you're doing is a great debate trick. Like, you are a seasoned debater.
I'm good at it. Why you think I'm sitting here for crying out loud?
But I'm not foolish enough to fall into these traps. You try to get me to argue about ratings on 2 individual games when we're talking about individual stars and athletes. Like,
biggest star in the world is Curry. I mean,
he's not.
It's not Sacramento in the final.
He is not. By what metric are you measuring that? Like, I think that, like, social media followers is a good way to figure out who is, like, more popular. And I haven't looked this up, but my guess is that Donovan Mitchell, even what he has now, but once he goes to New York, the amount of attention that he will get is far more than Aaron Judge. And I'm sorry, Aaron Judge is a great player. The Yankees are a fun team, a very important team to a lot of people. But baseball players don't resonate like that. Shohei Ohtani is out here doing things that we have not seen since, I guess you were probably 20, 25 when Babe Ruth. Yeah. You were like, you might have been like 15 when Babe Ruth was doing that.
I'm not that
and
old.
nobody is talking about it. So that's just my point. Like, I understand what you're saying. And Aaron Judge deserves more attention. And Aaron Judge is a better player than Donovan Mitchell is basketball player. But what you have to accept is that stars are NBA players.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.